Right, morning guys. So we got the seals last night. So I'll just quickly make sure this looks like it's going to fit. I think it should, which is good. So yeah, this is, so it's 3" by 45-ish basically. It's in millimeters as well. On here it's got the millimeters as well, inches. So it looks like that's going to fit nicely in there. So I've got to obviously put the bearing in, so I'm not going to push it in yet. Let's have a quickly look on hub. Make sure we're right here. Make sure it's not excessively tight or anything. Just went around to this side because I've already got the nut off. So I'd like to at least, I don't really want to put the wheels on, but I may as well, if you know what I mean. Yeah, no, that looks like it's going to be right now. Bit of grease around there and whatever, and it's going to be fine. You know, just put a little bit of grease in the back edge, just so it slips on there, so it's not dry when it first gets used. And then it'll give a half chance to be in, so that's cool. Now, what do you think that size? It's one of those things, you know, it's one of those other tools that would be nice to have. You know, a lot of seal drivers and whatever else, but plenty of old bearings. It's that bearing there, what do you want to call it, the race in there. I should have an old one of them to help drive this in squarely. So I'll just see. Stuff like around here. Tightening. We'll do that shortly. We'll get the other one together. Shush. We'll do that one and then we'll come back to you. I can't work out why this is so pigeon-toed. When originally, when I put it together, it was pigeon-toed for quite a while, and then I gave it a wheel alignment to make sure that everything was right, because I remember Dad saying that because it had been prammed in the front end, that he wondered maybe something was bent, and I got it to wheel alignment good. So I'm just trying to work out what the hell's going on. I've been trying to look through photos and whatever else. I just can't get a grasp on whatever. I look back through some of the early videos, but I just not the right angles, if you know what I mean, without hunting through them all. So I thought, screw it. I keep forgetting there's another fucking car up there. So I'm going to go have a look at that and just check out all the front steering and suspension. Make sure I haven't got the springs around backwards. But that shouldn't make any difference because the axle doesn't change fucking length. It's solid axle, so it doesn't change length. That doesn't change length. I just can't work out what's going on. The only thing I can think of is maybe in amongst doing stuff, these here have maybe moved or something. I don't know, I just can't remember, because we had those often had kingpin stuff and bits and pieces remade for them. So obviously everything's not all worn now, but it doesn't equivalent, you know, compensate for 6 inches of freaking toe in and toe out. So yeah, something's just weird. So I need to go check, make sure I haven't got something screwed up when I put it back together. Yeah. You're right. I can't work this out. I went up there and had a look. Took a photo. Biggest problem is because that's the disc brake, well, not the disc brake, the brake front end. It's completely different. But I did take a good look at the springs. They're definitely around the right way. I've had a good look at the PDFs from the phone. Pulled up and it shows one side of the front axle with the steering on linkages. That's definitely all around the right way. So the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that drag link back off, because I've got a sneaking suspicion, I can't remember, but it's got these little inspection holes through the tie rod ends. And here, like, I don't know if you can see, me? We can't see the helm. We can't see it either, but down here. Turn the steering wheel a little bit. Just bring the end of view a wee bit. Right. Where this bolt comes through, in here there's like an inspection hole that you can poke the screwdriver through. Now I'll get a sneaky suspicion, when this was round right in last time, that was in the road. You couldn't get anything through there. So, because I remember greasing it up and lubricating when we got it free and pulled all this apart to rebuild all this stuff. I think, I'm not 100% sure, that I had to soak in here to get everything to break free, if you know what I mean. And that other car there, the drag link is there, but it's bent and it's not on the car. It's just hanging around upstairs. So there's not much point looking at it anyway. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these off, drop this back off, sit it on one of those panel stands and have a really good inspection, just to see if I can wind these in further. I got a sneaking suspicion they wound in further. I think. So I'll just have a better look and see, because the thread is cut quite deep into these. I know you can see it in there. And just make sure there's not paint or something else stopping me from winding them in further, just in case that's what it is. So you can see the thread through there. Before it was only just come to the, just before the end. So that's a huge difference. I haven't even finished it yet. I'm going as far as much as we can. And we'll then set the medium. Or the middle, if you know what I mean. And we'll go from there. Right, welcome back to NZ Morepower Outlaw Kustoms. I've already fucking read this on camera, but off camera I was just inside, so I thought I'd read it again, just to entertain us. But I managed to find page 38 had the wheel alignment in the instructions. So, and when I measured this up, I've got it at about 2.5 mil, 3 mil toe in, which is about 1/8 of an inch. And would you fucking believe it? When I started reading this, I'll read the first little piece anyway. So, if the front wheels are not correctly lined up, hard steering and excessive wear on the tires will result. Well, that's a fucking no-brainer if you know anything about cars. A fairly exact way to check the front wheel alignment is to use a straight edge and a measure between the felloes of the front wheels at a point directly in front of the axle. Well, that's what I did, within a degree. I just used the middle of the tread and marked it about the same spot, and then just turned the wheels back around the other way in the same spot. That's where we put the tape on there. Yeah, and it says the difference should be 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters. Is actually fucking written there. And I was like, well, fuck. That's not a bad guess. I thought it might have been a little bit less than that, but, you know, it's an old vehicle. You know, they weren't quite so fussy back then. So, yeah, 3 millimeters it is. I'm quite proud of myself. That was a fucking good guess. Because I hadn't read it, honest, beforehand. But, yeah. So, we will leave it at that. We will, obviously, when we eventually get the new tires and wheels on there, we will do it again, but we will just, obviously, drive it, adjust bits and pieces. You know, finagle all the little ball jointy things with the little nuts and see if we can get them an extra half a turn here or there once it's done a little bit of driving. You know, adjust the kingpins a little bit once it's sort of had a bit of a drive and a bit of a wiggle round, and get them all adjusted up. And then when we put the new wheels and tires on there, eventually, we can adjust it and make sure it's even better. But yeah, I think we'll call that a win. That's good. Because I was kind of panicking there for a minute, thinking that I'd fucked something up, but no, just hadn't accounted for the paint. Right, that's good. Oh wow. We'll call that done. We'll carry on with something else now. Yeah, and I was just saying off camera, but on camera, but you probably won't see it because we would be staring just at the car. I was just thinking, choke cable. I haven't done anything with that yet. I've got the piece in there, and I took all the old shit out of it because it was all broken. But yeah, we need to make up a choke cable out of something. Right, I just pulled the choke cable out, and well, not the cable, but the handle. We just put a bit of welding wire in there. And if I run it, out past here, which the choke, funnily enough, the choke cable's about here, obviously because the carburetor's on the side, they didn't run it across the car, so that's where it is. So if it comes out here and then snakes down the back of this and back around here and under here, it needs to be not quite 4 foot long ish. Probably doesn't need to be quite that long, but about that would be a safe-ish length. Maybe a little bit shorter than that, maybe 3 or 4 inches shorter if it really need to be, if you know what I mean. But about that kind of length, and you could trim it up and make it work. You know, that would give you a bit of length to play with. Righty, so I've got this one repaired. In the moment, I've taken a little bit of a weight off it. To be honest, I don't think it really needs to be open any more than sort of that anyway. Like, I can probably shave a little more off here. I can't really straighten it out any, like it's already been pushed out anyway. I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do here for a visor, how I'm going to make it. So it probably comes out maybe 2 inches in front of here. Obviously this is going to come onto here and clamps onto here. The original thing I think probably comes up just a little bit higher, and I think it's probably a little bit further out. Doesn't really matter. And it's got 3 little dimples in here, so you can obviously adjust it down. And it's got like a whatever nut like this on this, it goes into the into the dimple and locks. It's sort of got like a thing like this, but with a thread in it, and then like a, you know, it would have a like a dome nut that you can crank and lock. It bites into that first dimple or the second dimple, or whatever. Now this has got a reasonable depth. It's actually not threaded. So I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do there. I don't know whether to maybe make a rod that goes across there and spring loaded at one end, maybe. Maybe like have like a tube in there with a, I don't know, like a 1/4 inch rod or thereabouts. It's about that sort of size, 1/4 inch or thereabouts. Have like a 1/4 inch rod that goes in and sprung loaded in a little tube, and maybe have like a little, I don't know, like a little tag in there that you can just pull it back to and take it off if you if you had to. Yeah, I don't know. And then obviously this piece here is going to be like that, and then it's got like a clamp. It clamps, looks like it clamps. I've got a photo that sort of looks down a little bit off one. Yeah, it looks like it's got like a clamp or something clamps it, and then yeah, look like the little nut that does up into the dimple on the outside. So yeah, and it basically must be just a wire frame, I guess. And it's probably got a bit of a brace in the centre, and then it's covered in black canvas or white canvas or cream canvas or whatever you want to put on it. You're probably doing black to match this, you know, and then you can do whatever colour you want for the top. So yeah, I'm just working out what I'm going to do here. Whether you have that in there. The only tube I've got is probably a bit big. Probably want something a bit lighter than that. That's too big. That's I think that's 3/4. I think it's way too big. Doesn't need to be that. Probably even 3/8, but a 3/8. I'm not sure what this is. I think this is metric, but I think it's about 5 mil or 6 mil or something like that. So that's about that size, which is 1/4-ish. Gotta get in the freaking hole. So it goes in there a wee way. And that probably goes in there. God, freaking get in the hole. Trying to hold a freaking camera and do this at the same time. Doesn't work very well. That probably goes in there. Yeah, 1/2 inch. Ish. 3/8, 1/2 inch. I haven't checked the other side, but you can kind of see anyway with the size of that boss. I'll check this bit. So what do we got there? Be about the same. So yeah, I'm just thinking maybe a rod of some description. Maybe drill a hole in it. Put like a little bit of bar in there so it's got, so we can have a spring in there or something like that, and have a rod that pushes in against it. You know, you just push it in there past it, clip, and it locks itself in. And maybe just have like a little tag so you can pull it back. Have a ladies, maybe a slot in there so you can just pull it back to pull it out at one end if you need to ever get it off. It's kind of what I'm thinking. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. So yeah, I've just been trying to fix that other piece. I've still got to do this other one. Still got to do the other one of those yet. Clean it up and just shave it down a little bit and make sure it's right. And I'll make sure they go up about the same distance. Maybe I could put like a little collar on there as a stop, so it couldn't go any further. Maybe. See, we might make something, just something small, or I don't know. We'll work out something. Like I just don't think they need to come out. Well, they don't need to come out miles. Like it doesn't need to come out that far. Like, you know, we're talking a couple of 3 inches underneath there. That's going to have plenty of air ripping there as you're cruising along at 45, 50 miles an hour, whatever. I'm sure this thing will do that easy. You know, it's a big 6. It'll be fairly torquey for its age. So like, I'm sure it'll chug along pretty good. The old man's rugby will do 45, 50 pretty easy too. So, and it's only a little 2.5, like 2.2 litre, whatever that is in cubic inches. It's only a little 4-banger, like way smaller than a Model A 4. So, yeah. Dad's actually contemplating putting the Model A engine in that rugby just to still have a flathead 4 on it, but just something a little bit bigger because he's having issues trying to get on the motor if he ever fixes it. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to do there. I'm going to have to obviously go get some materials. Make it up. I've probably got enough like lighter rod. I think I probably, yeah, I've got plenty of, what's that? Yeah, I've got plenty of that, which is, that might be 1/4. Oh no, it's smaller again. So yeah, I've got lighter stuff and heavier stuff of that. What else is there? Oh, that's all. So there's another piece there, but that's all through it. Yeah, I've got plenty of that longer stuff, that thinner stuff. Actually, that might be long enough to get across. I don't know. But I think it really needs to be something a bit like that, but maybe a little bit bigger, and then obviously put a sprung loaded end in it. I'll get in there. Yeah, it's actually too big. But it's definitely big enough, like long enough. So yeah, just a matter of working out what we need to do exactly. And a bit of material, but I think that's probably what I'll do. But I'll get this other piece fixed. Yeah, and then we'll have to work out, make a clamp for it. And yeah, a bit of 3/8 tube, like heavy wall tube or something like that, that I can use and put a like a little, try and make some sort of sprung loaded. I think you're plenty smallish springs that might fit in there. Doesn't need to be have a lot of travel on it. Maybe something about 1.5 inches long that can compress up to whatever. I suppose you have to have a reasonable amount of guts in it, otherwise it could, you know, with vibrating it could vibrate back if it hasn't got enough power behind it. So it might have to be heavy-ish. We'll have to see what we can find. You should soon sort something out. Because what's the difference? Oh yes. Yeah, I'm just looking at those. I'm just looking at the lineup between the brass curved thing and the and that boss. It's pretty much in line, so by the time you get the little piece inside it, yeah, it works out pretty good. I'm guessing this is pretty much the same. Yeah, it's about the same, so. Alright. Just thinking. Alrighty. So what I got going on at the moment, I'm just drawing a bit of a picture. This is about half of it, if you know what I mean. Just to give me a rough idea what I'm doing. Just write down some measurements. So between the two bosses, between that boss and this boss, and obviously between this front and the other one that's up there, it's about 40 inches. Slightly over 40 inches. It's 101 meter and 20 millimeters, which is 40 inches is 1 meter 16. So barely over, if you know, barely, what are we, I don't know, about an eighth of an inch over, thereabouts. So I'm thinking, I don't know, but that hole is 7.4 mils, which I'm not even sure that is in freaking inches. It's more than a quarter anyway. Where are we? It's about 7.4 there, close enough. Why not? So about 0.29 of an inch, whatever that works out to be in. It's a reasonable. It's not quite. Probably 5/16 thereabouts. Actually, that's a good idea. Not 5/16. Where are we? There's a 5/16 bolt. Yeah, not 5/16, is it? Let's poke that in the hole. Yeah, it's 5/16. There's no thread in there though. Well, I don't think there's thread in there. No, it's 5/16. So that's what it is. So you need. I've got a bit of rod over there that's close. I think it's 8 mil, which is almost 5/16. Like it's a little bit bigger. So it'll give me a little bit to play around with, shave off or whatever. If I need to turn a little bit in Dad's lathe or whatever. So what I'm thinking is having a little spring-loaded bar in there. Obviously turn the end of it down a little bit so a spring will fit over it. And we'll probably fit it in. Oh no, that bit of tube's way too big. That's quarter or 3/4. It's overkill. I'm thinking something like 1/2 inch, which is about 13 mil, or maybe, I don't know, like 1/2 inch or 5/8 or something like that. Tube if I can get it. If not, might better poke it in the lathe and drill a hole in it. And then obviously drill a hole down through it, put a stop in it, like a bit of 1/4 inch rod or something like that, just weld it in, dress it up, clean it up, so the spring can't go any further in. And then near the end of that rod, put like a grub screw or something in there, so obviously when you got it in there, just so, I'm only going to have the spring loaded on one end, I think. You could do it on both ends just in case one end happened to seize up and you couldn't get it out, if you wanted to get it out. But I'm just thinking maybe a grub screw or a 1/4 inch bolt, just have it so you can come along and then just nip it up so that sprung loaded piece can't jiggle loose, if you know what I mean. So it's not rattling around, but if you want to get it off, you can get it off out of there. Like, you can obviously take the post off, but it's a damn sight easier to get that out of the road if you only got to undo that to take it off to do a repair, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm thinking, like, to take this off, you got to take the dash out, like the whole fucking dash out, because the bolts are right in behind here, which is a prick. You can get a spanner in there, or a crescent in there, or a wrench in there, but it's not easy. Believe me, I've done it before. I had to do it the other day. I realised that post was a little bit, I realised it was a bit loose, and I actually want to get some of those double-sided ratchet spanners that are actually got like a little boss on them. They Balcho, whatever the frick they call them. They're quite a popular brand, and they've actually got almost like a little socket step on one side want to get in that, one of them so I can get in there and make sure that's tight without pulling all the dash out. Especially now I got half that shit hooked up. I got a spanner in there the other day and I've got it fairly snug, but I've just, yeah, I must have, when I put that back together, I never, obviously just nipped it up, but never went back in there to tighten it up when I had that bit of rubber out, trying to get that windscreen frame to sit right when we were mucking around that rubber earlier on. You know, you fat shit. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we have it sprung loaded at either one end or both. Have a little grub screw that can come through to lock it in place. So it's 40 inches long. I think 8 inches deep will be plenty. Swap hands here. So here's 8 inches or 200 mils. I think that's plenty. It doesn't need to be any longer than that. It gives you a little bit out front of this, but not a lot. It doesn't need to be, like it doesn't need to be hanging out frickin', you know, I think 10 inches or 11 inches or 12 inches is way too far. 8's fine. That's what it looks to be on most of the pictures. You know, a couple of inches out from the front of that frickin' windscreen frickin' curve thing. So I think 8 inches out there, and obviously go back along, and then probably maybe a bit of flat bar brace in between, just to give it a bit of strength for obviously wind resistance, pushing against it. I'm just not sure what to make this out of. I've got plenty of 1/4 inch or 6 mil. I just don't know whether to make it out of something heavier than that, like the rest of it. Like obviously this is going to be fairly solid, but does the rest of it need to be any bigger than 6 mil? I don't know. It's either that or we get a bit more of this heavier stuff. I've only got a short piece of that. Like it's long enough to go across the front, but I would still need a bit more, if you know what I mean. I haven't got anything else that's that thick. Well, not that's like there's the hinge pins and stuff, which is probably the same thickness. Like there's the hinge pins off the hood sides and stuff like that. There's them, but yeah, I can't use them. So yeah, I haven't got anything else that size. I don't think there's anything else over here amongst the stuff. So like, there is a bit of a difference between the basically the it's almost 5/16, or it's over 5/16, or 1/4. I just don't know. I've got plenty of that. I've got a length of that, another big length of that. I don't know, like 7 or 8 feet of it type stuff. I think I've got plenty. I don't even have to buy anything, but if I want to use something heavier, I don't think I've got anything else lying around here. That's that width. Thickness, I could always use a bit of Rio. There's a bit of arch in it. But nice to have it in one length though, if you know what I mean. Whatever that round thing is, don't know. But yeah. Yeah, plenty of Rio there, but nothing else, if you know what I mean. A bit of flat bar. And some shit, but yeah, that's just, I think that's too big for across the frame itself. So yeah, so if I need that, I need about what do I need, about 56 inches, whatever that is in millimeters. So it'd be 1.5 meters, and allow me a little bit to trim off. Yeah, I could probably just buy that anyway. I think maybe the heavier, and then I'll just use a bit of flat bar. I've got a bit of flat bar here, and then I think it'd be more than sufficient to do a little brace in the middle. I think a bit of round rod will be alright, but I've got a bit of, I've got this bit of flat bar here, which is be perfect. It's nice and solid without being like one short piece of that in there. It's not going to matter much. So yeah, that's how the bit of 1/4 that I've got, or 6 mil, But yeah, I just wonder if it's a wee bit light. I'm just thinking, like, it's probably fine on a normal day when you haven't got wind. You know, like you're cruising along at 45, 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour if you want to go that fast. If you can think you can haul the thing up, but it's the windy day that you worry about, you know what I mean? We get a bit of a decent crosswind or something like that, you know, you've been out and it's been nice and then it comes up shitty. You get to think of that sort of stuff. So yeah, I might go the heavier stuff, and then it's all round, and then this is, yeah, that will make it fairly solid then. Yeah, we might do that. Alright, I'll grab it in the morning before I come to work, I think. See if I can get a bit of heavy tube or rod, and then worst comes to worst, I'll go around to Dad's and bore it out. I'll see if I can get a couple of decent springs that are, I don't know, even if I can get one big long one. We'll just see how much they compress. We'll grab a couple anyway. Half decent springs about this diameter. Yeah, so whether we put one on each hand or whatever, and have it spring loaded, but lock it up. I think that's where we're heading anyway. So between that and dressing up that other one of ours again, just taking a wee bit more off it and doing a little bit of repair, I think we'll be fine. Right, morning guys. So I've got some materials. I couldn't get any tube. I think this is 16 mil, which is basically 5/8. It's possibly a little bit heavy, but we'll work with it, see how we get on. Got a couple of springs to hopefully put inside it to go with the other bar. So I'll have to drill this out. So I think once we get this measured up in the right length, we'll probably take it to Dad's at some point. And throw it in the lathe and drill a couple of holes in the end, as far in as I possibly can within reason, obviously, to obviously put a piece in one end to hook into the other end, and then make the spring loaded piece. I got a couple of springs just in case we do spring loaded both ends. I haven't decided yet. I got a hunk of brass to try and make some of the little clamp pieces to go over the slide, and obviously to hook onto the rest of the sun visors, what do you want to call it. So a hunk of brass to try and make a couple of pieces out of that, and a couple of meters of 8mm, which is almost, but a little bit over 5/8 rod. So yeah, we'll get planning, measuring, and working out exactly what we need to do here. Righty, so I've done a bit since I talked to you last about this. So it's obviously to length. I've got holes drilled in here so far. I'm going to have to shorten these pieces up a little bit. The spring compresses up to less than those black marks. I'll have to do each side individually because they're not exactly the same depth, but close, if you know what I mean. I've just flattened a little piece off here in the mill so I can drill a hole for a grub screw or retain, you know, so when it's in there and you've got it in and locked, well, in and then it's sprung back out, if you know what I mean, then you can lock it off so it can't jiggle out. And then I also want to put it like maybe just a little slot in here through, so I can screw or drill and tap something small a bit like this in there, so if you ever need to get it out, so you can unlock that and then just pull the piece back to get it out. You know, it'll only just be sitting above it. I'm going to have it pretty low, So it's only just like a little button you can just push back with your finger or something like that, and maybe just like a little, just enough of a slot to get it out, if you know what I mean. We'll have to work that out a little bit, and then I may do the same on the other side, or I don't know whether I just make it permanent, I don't know. I'm just thinking that maybe it might be easier to have both ends spring loaded. Like I said, just in case one happens to seize up and the other one doesn't, then you can still get it out if you need to. So we're getting closer and closer. Took a wee while to drill and tap the hole, or not drill and tap, but drill the holes out with the old 1907 record lathe. So we're getting closer. So yeah, we're about the right length now. So when we're sort of getting closer to finish, we can get these tacked and welded on here. Obviously get that tacked and welded in there, or I might just use a bit of the light bar. We'll see. I did contemplate using that, but I just may not need to, if you know what I mean. I just thought maybe that might be a little stronger. We'll see. So yeah, we're just in the midst of getting this sorted. I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do here exactly. So this needs to come back to about here with the spring squashed in, and then we'll put that hole in about here. I don't think that slot needs to be terribly big. Just need to work out how much it needs to go backwards and forwards to, because it's fully collapsed. So it's going to come back out a certain amount. I might have to drill it in here maybe. I may even have to go out in here a little bit more deeper here with the hole, because I don't want this too short, if you know what I mean, and then wiggling around. I don't think it'll matter too much, but yeah, just working on it. A little bit of thinking as you go, you know what I mean. But yeah, because it'll have to spring back out a certain amount to engage and then lock. So, like, you could always put a little, but I think I'd rather have it just something that you can, one and then just nip it up, and then it can't go anywhere, you know what I mean, then have a little, like, L slot in it. I don't want to make this too weak and then prone to breaking off, but I don't think a little hole in here and a hole in here will make too much of a difference. But anyway, I think that'll do in the meantime. Right, so I drilled the holes a little bit deeper, so now we'll basically, it's pretty much the full depth they should need to go in. I think might have to trim a little bit just to slip them in between the posts, but yeah, we'll just have to play with things a little bit, stick it in one end, obviously without the other end in it, see how it fits, see how much we need to shorten a little bit, you know what I mean, but we're getting there. Got the flats on here, might get a bit more of a flat on that one. It's a bit awkward, thing works alright, but it's very hard to get this level too without sticking a level on, if you know what I mean. Not too bad, as long as it's something reasonably level to centre punch and drill, if you know what I mean. Well, I'll use a drill press, or yeah, no, probably just use the drill press. I could use that with maybe a small bit in there to just slot this out at the end of it with their bits and pieces with their little slider, but yeah, alright. We'll see you Monday. I'll go film this car show. Right, morning guys, welcome back to Marko Kustoms. So we'll carry on with this SUN visor piece. Wrap with the footage for the car show. That looked really awesome. I tried a couple of different new features on the phone that I've never had before. It was you'll probably notice if you do watch the car show video that it's really stretched out, like cinematic. There's a movie mode in the video function, and it was an HDR, which I'm not sure if I'll do again. because it caused me a few issues trying to get the footage to work on the computer. But yeah, I'd like to try and see if I can maybe get somebody to 3D print me a case. I find that I can put a filter lens on, so I can bring that frame rate right down to lose that little bit of jittery when you do a big pan wide. I noticed it wasn't so bad if I was, reasonable distance from cars and bits and pieces and wasn't panning around too fast. But if I wasn't doing some of those big shots where I panned over like sort of a group of cars there at one point, I noticed it was a bit jittery. So yeah, I'd like to try and get rid of that if I can. So I need to put some sort of like lens filter on the phone over my lenses. So yeah, I'm going to try and something, maybe somebody with a 3D printer print me a case that I can put a lens filter on. And if you want to know, it's an Oppo Find X5 Pro is the phone. So yeah, it's got a wicked camera on it. It's probably not quite as good as some, but it's pretty freaking still right up there. It's fucking near enough compared with all the other ones. It's right up there. And it has got an awesome freaking camera on it. Like, I'm really rat with the footage. But yeah, I would like to pull the shutter speed down. Be able to control it with a lens filter at some point. So yeah, but I don't want to put one of those clip-ons on, if you know what I mean. So if I can get a case and maybe get somebody to 3D print me one that's made out of the right sort of rubbery sort of thing. I don't know whether they can do that or not, but yeah, it's a better screw a filter on. Boy, I reckon that'd be awesome. Anyway, we'll carry on and we'll get some stuff made today. Righty, I've just been thinking about something. If I run this bar across here, it's going to be very close to here. And whenever you better get a windscreen wipe hanging over it. So I'm trying to think what to do. Righty, I think I've come up with a solution. I've just been thinking about it. So these here go into, if I hold that on the end and just roughly, you know what I mean? It goes down to about there. So if I cut these off about here, allowing a little bit extra, means I can still use these pieces. Obviously the one off that as well. But if I've still got this bit of extra rod of this. If I cut that off in between, still weld this piece and this piece to the front edge of that, and then I can come along and cut this off here and here, whatever length that needs to be, which is, I don't know, if we say about 4 inches thereabouts. So that gives us a little spring-loaded lock piece, so we can still get it on and off. We can still put this brace in here. I'll just have to shorten it up a touch, and we should be golden. And that'll give us a good inch or so in front of that post. So that'll give us, because it's not going to matter if these pieces come along to here on both sides. It's still well clear of where we need, and then that will give us a nice little space. We're talking sort of that far, so that should be plenty to get a stalk of one of those old school wipers in there, hopefully, because I can't really sort of see any other way of doing it without pulling the windscreen out, tapping this, hoping like how it works, and then putting a bolt in here and putting a piece out here, which you could do, but I'm partway sort of through making this anyway, and it's still going to be this. So what does it matter if I weld that to that, and then it's it is, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it probably would be simple just to add you could weld a big wick and wash it to the end of this and put a bolt in there and be done with it, but I've still got to get a clean thread in there, and it's not going to be in there very deep because the hole's only that far, so you're only going to get, unless you got a bottom tap, yeah, like you're not going to get the thread in there very far. So it's one of those things that you could put it in there, be fine for a while, and then it's going to strip out and whatever. Whereas this here is more likely to stay there as long as the welds don't break. You know, and if I weld that bar right along the bottom edge, I've got 4 inches of weld on there plus the piece out here, and then you can have the brace in the middle. So I think it'll be fine, and that'll take a bit of weight out of it. It's going to be lighter than what it was if I had that whole rod in there, and I can use it for something else. The rest of it, so yeah, I think that'll do. Righty, so about to run away from lunch. So I got this piece in here working. I had to increase the length of that slot to get it to come back far enough. I've got a screw. I've got this one rigid in here at the moment, but we will put, I've increased the slot in here too. We will put the other bolt in there. I just wanted to actually get a position where I really wanted it to be. Obviously get this balanced in the middle. Get this set. So I've had it in there, and I just moved this rod out a little bit further than what it was, just to try and get a nice balance in there. So yeah, once I come back from after lunch, we'll do that, and then we'll obviously tap that hole and drill and tap the rod to put the other little screw in. Eventually we'll chop these down so this is only just above here, or it might be sticking up like that. These here I might just knock down a little bit too, so it's not too much lower than that, but a little bit. Well, you know, probably if it's back down about half that height again. But it's easy to move in and out at this point, you know what I mean? As long as I put a reasonable amount of copper coat in there and whatever else, it should be fine. So yeah, it's just so you can get it in and out if you need to, and then we can set bar in there later on. We want to get it functioning first, obviously, and then here we can add the bar in here, the brace, so it doesn't collapse in the centre. And it might even just better put a bit of rod in here, to be honest. Keep it light as possible. And then I'll get this other piece here, do a little bit of dress up on this and just fine it up a little bit. I haven't touched this one yet. Put that back on, and then kind of gently clamp this in position onto these and work out what I'm going to do to make these little brackets work that I've got to try and make out of that block of brass somehow. Yeah. Righty, so I've got that up there. So now I need to make a plan for the clamp that holds it up there, off the end of these. I want to try and make it a little bit like this up here, so it sort of matches obviously, and then just work out obviously what what we need to do to obviously have the little clamp system here, and then maybe at some point we'll put some dimples in here. Yeah, it's about where we are next, I guess. So we'll start drawing out a little plan here and see if we can whittle it out of that hunk of aluminium, or not aluminium, brass or bronze or whatever the hell it is over there that we got the other day. So yeah, we'll go from there, I think. Alrighty, so I actually started using the mill. God, that thing's a piece of shit. I'll have to use it for some of it. Hopefully I don't to open up the slot where those two holes are. I don't know if did I show you a video of this before? No, I don't think I did. I just drew some rough dimensions. This is kind of to size, but not really, if you know what I mean. Some of it's probably overkill. So this, from where it slides through that bar to where this is almost half an inch. It's 12 mil, which is a little under half an inch distance between here and where that piece goes through. So by the time we mill this out, then I'll probably have to open this hole up a little bit here where the visor goes through, and then I'll open this up. Also, we'll take some of this material away, and some of this material away, and also we'll take it off this lump, and then I'll try and do the same again on the next part of it. But I actually found that it was actually just as easy to cut with a freaking grinding disc, as long as I marked it out roughly where I wanted it. I did actually end up using the pillar drill to drill some holes down, but I probably could have just cut it with the freaking cutting disc. It was just as easy. So we'll open that up tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Wednesday, and open this up, and then we'll take this material away, and we'll shape it kind of like what you see here. Hopefully you can kind of understand. I just drew it from obviously the 3 different sides, and then try to do a bit of a 3D to get it in my head. It's kind of what I think. And then through here somewhere, I may put a hole through here to maybe just, I don't know, whether just to put a small bolt or screw through here to hold it. This is undersized at the moment, so, but yeah, that needs to be back a little bit, but we'll have to open that up. But yeah, we'll drill a hole through here somewhere and then make it all fit, you know what I mean? So from here to there, yeah, so the hole is going to come back into there, so we should better just sneak a small-ish, like, I don't know, maybe something that sort of size, or maybe something slightly bigger, obviously not that big, you know what I mean, about that sort of size, down through here to, I don't know whether I've got to pinch it or not by the time I shave it down and shape it a bit like what I did with that is how the freaking brackets, you know, we'll shave it up and shape it and make it look a bit like, it's another thing. And then we'll have to drill a hole through here and tap that to get some sort of nut, and we'll probably Loctite a bolt, and then we'll cut the rest off, if you know what I mean, to wind into there or something like that, or we'll just machine it up. But it's probably just as easy to Loctite a bolt head into a machine type nut, or that sort of thing. But cut the thread off, but Loctite it in with some like really high strength Loctite, so I can use it the other way, if you know what I mean. Or something like that to wind into here with a little bit of thread on it, just to hold on that. Obviously on those bars or braces, or whatever those freaking things are called. So yeah, it's kind of where we're heading. So it was half roughed out. I started off with a mill, but oh god, it's so fucking thing shakes around so freaking much. It's freaking hopeless. It just wants to jump around. I think with a little small bit, if I just go carefully down through there, I think it'll be okay. And then if I can get a small file through there, I might better clean it up a little bit. You know what I mean? So I'd only need, it should sneak in there pretty well, that thing. This is a bit over width too. Yeah, no, we should be good. We should sneak in there. Basically, just take the centre out of that. We hopefully don't have to square these edges out. We can square them out a little bit, maybe, if we need to, with a file, if we can get a file in there. Like a smaller one, like it could fit in there. If you know what I mean? Like we might better get something like that in there, just to sneak into the corners and stuff. But anyway, I'm going to bugger off. And see you Wednesday, since I've got to take the young fella up to Queenstown to get his lies looked at again. Anyway, we'll catch you later on. Cheers.